Hey guys, Cindy here from paper.old.new. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me. I told you I was going to bring you a part 2 on the calendars, and I was watching my first calendars video. As I had mentioned, it was the first time I had done a multiple ways to use one item video. I will try to be less choppy this time. I think I'm better prepared, but we'll see. This is going to kind of be I have 3 different ways to put these calendar journals together. One of them is one that I've been doing with the tree calendar. These ones that I put together, if you remember in the last video, we took this calendar with all the quotes on it. And we created what was going to be like an accordion style folio type thing. And basically what I've done with it is I put a piece of scrapbook paper here, like I showed you, and I covered the other side of the scrapbook paper because otherwise you have a white piece of paper up against this. So I covered that with another piece of scrapbook paper just to decorate. All right. Now, when I open this up, what I've done is I've added a little flap. Okay, and that's what I'm going to show you how I did this. And of course, if you want to, you can still see here the white. Now you can do a couple of things. You can decorate that if you want, or you can sew some pages in there if you want, however you want to take care of that little kind of exposed area there. So what I wanted to do was show you how I did this. Now, once you've glued both sides of your flap down to the scrapbook paper inside, you obviously can't get under it anymore. So make sure that you've done everything you want to do before you glue it down. I've cut one and I'm going to glue it down, and then we'll go through how I've been measuring the pages and setting everything up. So basically all I'm going to do is I got this piece of scrapbook paper. This part of it's plain. That part of it is what's going to connect it to the inside of the folder. It also reinforces these pages, makes them a little thicker. And all I'm doing is, before I glue the folio flap down, my thing about doing these videos is while I'm working with you and I'm showing you guys these things, ideas pop in my head and I go off on tangents. I think that's what makes my my videos a little choppy sometimes. So I apologize for that. But I'm going to try and stick on topic as best I can. Okay, now, so I'm going to glue this down. And basically, like I said, I have been trying to find different ways to put these calendars together to make them more interactive, to make them more interesting, just to kind of have fun with them. And with these magazine style pages that are so thin, it lends itself to being able to do stuff like this, because the pages kind of need a little bit of help being reinforced anyway. So if you can bring them a little bit of reinforcement, certainly doesn't hurt anything. Okay, and then I'm just going to put that down. Now, usually I'll flip over to the calendar sheet that I've glued to, and I get my little card here, and we do the glue smushing. Because, of course, they are magazine pages, so you might get some of that glue pattern in there. I mean, tis what tis, if you know what I mean. All right, and then you have your little flap here. This is the piece that's going to stick out. So there's journaling space. There's area for decorating a little bit. If you wanted to decorate your calendar pages, of course you could. But this is so that you have a place to interact with this journal without having to cover up the calendar pages. They can just kind of be what they are and what they were. The other thing I've been doing, before I glue this down, the other thing I've been doing is I've been finding, so this calendar, this page is up against this sort of, I think I already used that though. Maybe not. The wildflowers are kind of up against this orange, but they're also up against the pink flowers there. So what I've been doing is I've been making these little envelopes. You'll see I have these cut-off scraps, okay? And I've been taking these envelopes, I've been making these little envelopes out of these. All right. Now, the other thing I've been trying to do, and we'll make one of these as part of the video. The other thing I've been trying to do is kind of put one of these in as a little flap. Okay, so this gets glued down, and then our page gets glued down, so that everything is tucked up in there nice and neat, and you don't have to worry about, excuse me, you don't have to worry about anything getting in your way. The thing I was talking about gluing all your sides down before you're quite ready is something that will come into play in another journal that we're doing. And it gets more complicated, so I saved it for last. Because you're doing a lot of flipping back and forth with that one, and it just is kind of crazy. All right, now I've cut this down because, as you can see, these pages are tall. And I didn't necessarily want a journal this tall. So I selected a size. I kept the width. I only took off enough to make these 9 inches high. And this rough edge where I tore it off, I usually cut some off down there, depending on where my quote is, obviously, is where I cut. So I try to get as much off of the bottom as I can. So if I can hit this quarter mark, I can get about a 1/2 inch off, because that's at about the quarter mark there. And then basically all I'll do is I'll cut this bottom piece off, and then I'll turn it around and I'll cut off from the top to make it the 9 inches. My blade's getting dull, and so I have to do a couple of light passes rather than one big, like pressured pass, because my, with the blade being dull, it's pulling at the magazine and kind of tearing in spots instead of cutting. I just need to replace the blade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to go to right there. And of course this takes off the hole, and it rippled a little bit there. I felt it. All right, and then we'll take that off of there, and then we have our 9 inch piece. Now this tucks onto here. Let's open this up because we don't want to glue our thing down. Okay, this tucks onto here like this. Guys, I just did that totally wrong. Now I'm going to have to put a pocket there or something. Every time I come on here to do this with you guys, I know what I'm doing, and then I do something and fumble something, and we end up having to make a fix. Now, of course, if you wanted to make any of this pockets or whatever, like I said, these are magazine page thickness. They're kind of flimsy. If I was going to make these pockets in between here, this piece would be here. I would also reinforce that piece, because there's no way that either one of these would stand up over long periods of time of you sliding a card in and out. I feel like the magazine pages would tear eventually. So it would just be one of those things where, again, my paranoia would show up, and I would have to, put some reinforcement in there. Yeah, the envelope needed to go in here. I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. I don't know if you can see the bumps down there. They don't bother me so much with the shiny envelope, with the shiny magazine page, because it kind of makes it look like, when I was looking at it, it kind of makes it look like a crinkly old, like maybe water damaged magazine or something like that from, whoever long ago. All right, so this would be our little flap. And as you can see, I put this little envelope here, and I have one of the calendar pieces in here, and I do want to make cards for these that'll fit in these little envelopes. And this was just an envelope. Like I said, we'll make one, so you'll see how I did it if you haven't done one of those before. All right, and then this is going to get a pocket to cover that up. A pocket, a tuck, something to cover this up. Because, once again, I was thinking while I was working. We all know how well I do at that. Okay, now, this then flips over here, and I have my next sheet. And all I do is, I cut some already. Those are my 2 pages, and I have all my pages here, and basically what I would do is find something to put in the middle between these 2. And I might do a neutral here just because this is a very neutral palette, and maybe I just want to leave it that way. So this is a neutral, and I would stick this in here like this, and again, I would get my flap, okay? And maybe my color, my pop of color comes from this. So let's do one more. And I'm going to put these off to the side. We're not going to like finish up this calendar today. I just wanted to show you how this one was going together to give you an idea of how to put these together. So we're going to trim. This is already down to its 9 inches and ready to go. So let's trim the calendar page. Get that out of the way. Let me trim the calendar page, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the hole off at the top, and hopefully, okay, so we can get the hole, the hanging punch thing off at the top. Okay, and then we're going to turn it this way, and we're going to do 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, now let's bring our calendar back over, our booklet, and we'll glue this piece down first. So we're going to put glue all over here. I like accordion, flippy floppy back and forth books. I think they're very interactive. I also think that as long as you don't overstuff them, they are really nice. All right, fine. Only when I turn the camera on. I was doing this last night, late at night, like when I'm tired, and it was working fine. Tell you what, man. Okay. Goodness gracious. Now, let's open this up to where we're going to stick our page. Our page will go in here like this. So what I basically want to do is take my little piece here and decide where on the page I want it to flap. And I think I'm going to put it down here. Okay. So basically we're going to turn this over and we're going to put glue all over this flap. And we're going to glue it to the back of the page. I should have known better when I was gluing it down to scrapbook paper that something was wrong. If you glue it to the back of your calendar page, at least for me and the way I'm doing this, if I glue it to the back of the calendar page, it'll always be in the right spot. All right, so that's that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue that in here. Okay, so let's coat it with glue, guys. And like I said, I have a ton of calendars, which is why you're seeing a series on this. I want to, I'm basically mass making with all these calendars to get these journals made. I love them. I think they're a really cool idea for using up calendars, because I think calendars make, I mean, they're always so pretty. You know what I mean? It's like I said in the last video, we buy the calendars because there's something in them that we liked. And then the end of the year comes and it's like, I don't want to throw it away. Or maybe you're not like that. Maybe you get to the end of the year and you're done and you're ready to move on to a different calendar. And it doesn't bother you to throw it away. Okay. And then we have a little flip out thingy there, and we're ready for our next page. Okay, so that's how that calendar is going together. And then, like I said, this is my fly paper to connect to my cover. So that's how we did that. Now, as far as these envelopes go, I just take one of these envelopes. And let's say we take this one and this one. Let me get my ink. And basically, all I'm doing is we're taking a piece of this, and I'm going to cover this outside. I'm going to put it to right there because that's where the page, I mean the envelope ends. But as you saw on the other ones, I tear them. Oops. So because I'm using the roses on the outside out here, I will use the other side on the inside flap. So this is going to go in here to cover my envelope. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to take the glue and I'm going to glue a line to make this a pocket at the other end. If you've never done this before, if you have, obviously this is old news, but if you're new to doing all of this, then what you basically do is you don't want to put glue all over this. You're going to close your envelope up. So, but you want to seal the bottom. So I'm going to put a line of glue right along here. And then I'm only going to put glue on the outside of the envelope pocket. Okay, I'm just going to cover this. Just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to stick it right up on there. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take it, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over like that. Okay, and you just take it and you put it on there where you want it. And I'm going to seal that, and we're going to get this all stuck down. Now, this is going to be my pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim all of the excess off the outside. So we're going to trim that off, and then we're going to cut this off. Try not to cut your envelope open. I mean, worst comes to worst, you can always glue it shut. But if you have to put glue inside your envelope, you're going to lose real estate. And these are already really tiny. So I don't want to do that if I can help it. Okay, so I have my little pocket. Now what I have to do is get it open. So at the bottom, I will cut off like a little sliver. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just needs to be enough to open the bottom up. Okay, so we're going to cut off down here. Like that. And then this is open. Let's make sure I didn't get no glue seepage. A little bit. You can feel it over there. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, sometimes when you glue around the edges there, it'll seep over into the cardstock. So you just want to make sure that it's still open. And then I can stick, I don't think this fits actually. Unless I was going to do both sides, and I don't really want to do both sides. I suppose I could. See, it doesn't fit all the way down in there. And when I go to notch it, it makes that little bitty notch right there. I'm probably not going to keep that. I'll probably get a circle punch and do a bigger notch than that. But that's the outside. Now, on this side, what we're going to do is we're going to ink around the edges of the envelope. have a ceiling fan going, and I always worry about my ink drying out because right now some of these pads are old enough that they seem to be struggling a little bit, and I think they need re-inking, and I haven't done it yet. Okay, now remember, part of this is going to get covered up, so you're mostly worried about the edges, and then you can worry about if you need any more ink on it afterwards once you get the piece that you want done. Now, I'm going to tear, right? I know this is the right size for my envelope, so I'm going to tear right along here, and that is the wrong, yeah. Okay, and then we're going to tear, I want to tear the dotted line off. All right, and then you're going to put this in the middle here. All right, and I'm going to ink the edges of the scrapbook paper. And you get this cute little envelope. Now, these can be further embellished. You can stick a flower on there. You can stick a sentiment on there. You can decorate it up with a collage. You can, I mean, sky's the limit. It's a little place ready to be decorated. Right here on your envelope. So this is how I made the little envelopes to go in the calendar. I haven't done the cards yet. I have an idea of how I want to make the cards, but I haven't done them yet. So I mean, obviously you can use these to make the card that goes in here and find one of the little, let me see. So I'm going to put it somewhere else in the book. It won't go, obviously, where we just had it. So I can take this. I wonder if this is a decent 3 inches. Okay, so if I make a 3x3 card, let's make a 3x3 card. We're going to go 3 inches this way. Okay, and then I'm going to do 3 here. I'm hoping. Oh, good, it gets the branding through. Okay, so like that. Now, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to put this on here, and you can catty corner it, and maybe I take a piece of this. Let's tear it. Like that. It won't show. Okay, and then we're going to ink this. And as you can see, I'm using the scraps that I'm creating from making this. So that's always a positive. So we'll put this on there like that. I've got a little scrap bin of pieces of like music and stuff like that. So let's get a piece of music page. Okay. Let's ink it. And we'll make a little card for this pocket. This will be the one you get to see, the first one. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And we haven't even gotten to the other two count. This is going to be a long video, guys. I don't do anything fast. Have you noticed? Well, like I said, I go off on tangents, and I'm not really sure, like when I've shown you something, I'm not really sure if I should do it more than once. But I guess if I do it once and you need to know something I did that you didn't catch, you can always go back and watch it again. Okay, let's do that. These will go the same direction, and then the one on top will be different. It's not a big space to work in, so, I mean, doing this layering cattywampus thing is kind of hit or miss, but okay. And then, of course, you can, like, round corners, or let's round corners and see how that looks. I mean, I'm going to be making several of these, so I can always do something a little different on each one. I don't think this is magazine paper. I don't think it'll take ink. I mean, I can go around the edge just to get the white core, but I don't think the ink will stay on the magazine surface. Okay, and then we're going to take this and we're going to glue it down. And then we'll put our little card in our envelope, and I'll figure out where this envelope goes somewhere else in the journal. So I do want some of the music notes to show. Okay. All right, now let's see if it fits in the thing. And then you can write on the back of that. Oh, I forgot. Oops. All right, let's get that. Okay, and we've got a nice little card to go in our pocket. And there you have it. Now you can always, because these are going to be inside the journal, you can always put a little tab on the top of that. I've got whale tail tabs already punched. So I could do something like this. I've got green. Do something like this. I'm not worried about covering up the quote. The quote is on the main page. But I would, if I was going to cover it, I want to cover the whole thing. So that might come down a little low on there if I was going to, because if I put it on here and it covers part of the quote, that looks funny to me. So I might put it low if I was going to cover the quote. I don't want to cover up too much of all the stuff that we did. So that's probably going to be the best place to put it. Or I can stick with our neutrals and put this one on there. Which I may just, I'll hold on to that one though. All right, we're going to ink this. All right, guys. So this was the first calendar idea. The other ones don't have as much these extra things, like the little envelopes. All right, so let's put this on, and then this one will be done. And then I will be doing that with the other calendar thumbnails off the back of the page. I'm putting it down just enough to cover because I don't want it too low as it is. I don't think it looks bad. I like the shape, so. All right, so there's that. And then we'll put it down in the thing, and that just sticks out the top there. Okay, or it's going to be the side, but there you go, and there you have it. Nice little thing with a card in it to go in your calendar journal. So I wanted to show you that because I had made the comment, don't get rid of your little inchy things on the back. That's why. Okay, and we used up most of that piece of paper with all of the, I mean, that's it. I used that entire 12 by 12 piece of paper other than the scraps. So we did good on that one. Now, my other thought, I'll clean up in a minute, was looking at these calendars from the standpoint of using something in between the pages besides just a flap of paper. So I took this calendar. This is being done the same way that I did that I'm doing the tree calendar. So I went and found pages from some kits that I bought. That's Tina. This is Adele Art Studio. These are all on Etsy. This is from her. I got 2 of her journal kits. One was a farm journal kit, and the other was farm animals kit. So I pulled stuff from both of those. And basically I made a small signature. Okay. Got a decorative envelope in here with some uptucks, and I've cut the sides open. So these are pockets. And then I've got some grungy paper in here that you can write on. And the other side is a page from one of Tina's kits. This is her, it's called BG 1 or 2. She's got 2. I don't know what the BG stands for, but there's 2 and they're huge. They've got a ton of pages in them. And this is one of those. Now, having said all that, this is my first picture. So I tried to kind of tie the pages that I created, or that I printed rather. These aren't my creations. These are other journal kits that I just put the pages together for. So this one has birds. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking, oh, that was my other page. I need that. I'm taking these long envelopes. These were the only ones that I could find that were the right width. Okay. Now I've left a piece here in case I need to cut the bottom off, because I want to slit the side open. If I want a side facing pocket, which I think I'm going to do for this first page, and I don't want to lose real estate in my envelope, the way I'm going to do this is I've sealed my envelope closed. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to open the side of it. I'm going to go ahead and do that before I get all the glue all over it. We're going to open the side to make it a pocket. And we're going to sandwich it between the signature and the calendar page. Okay? And what else I'm going to have to do is make it the right height. Now, if you were going to make it a top loading pocket, you just cut off the envelope at the top and you don't have to worry about this. But I'm making this one a side loading pocket. So this is how I'm going to do it. And I'll show you what I mean about top loading in a minute. Okay, so what I'm basically going to do is we're going to mark this. Let me get it lined up at the top, and then I'm just going to get a pencil and I'm going to mark it right here at the bottom of my page, and I'm going to cut it off right there. So I line my notch up with one of my things. Of course, if you have a cutter that works, by all means do that. Just line your notch up with your cutting blade and voila. All right. Now this is open at the bottom. If I put glue in here, I lose, you're not going to lose a lot, but you're going to lose a little bit. But I left these flaps on the bottom of the page. I didn't cut all the way around this because these were only they were 8 1/4 tall by 7 1/4 wide this way. So they don't fill up an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of paper, obviously. So basically what I did was when I was cutting them out, I left the flap at the bottom in case I needed to do this. Now the one on the other side we're going to have to cut off, but so we're going to do this. And the other thing is these are security envelopes that I'm using. So the inside of this envelope has a security envelope pattern all over the inside. If that bothers you, you can always line your envelope, I guess. For me, lining an envelope means taking it apart. So, I mean, I guess you could do it from that standpoint. So I'm not going to line these. All right, so we're going to stick it on there like that. And I'm going to open this up and I'm going to smoosh it. Now, this is working better than the magazine page. This is my nice journaling paper, so. And then, like I said, my bottom is still open down here, and I'm just going to tuck this piece of the journaling page. And I think what I'll do is cut a little bit of a it's wanting to peek. So I'm going to cut a little bit of an angle on this side. And we'll cut a little bit of an angle on this side just so it's not sticking out. Okay. And then if anything sticks out, I can cut it off. And then I'm just going to close it like you would the bottom of a coin envelope or something. We're just going to close that up on there. Okay. And then it doesn't matter what it looks like because you get your entire pocket that goes all the way over to that fold now. So I get my entire pocket and make sure I do this right because I keep turning it the wrong way around. And then I'm going to glue this on here. Okay, now this is going to end up being one of those soft-sided journals like I've been making. So more than likely what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to glue this on, but I'm going to, I don't remember why I put tape on. Oh, I think this was one of the demonstration ones. So these already have tape on them. They don't necessarily need tape, but they have tape on them anyway. All right, so I'm not going to go all the way to the back. These signatures aren't fat, but if you leave a little bit of space back there, it allows your journal to have more movement. Okay. This is going to be real quick. I'm just going to show you this and then we're going to move on. I don't have any extras to do with this one. The only other thing I might do is show you the coordinating pieces. Hold on a second. Okay. Now we're going to glue this down. Hopefully my glue didn't dry while that was going on. We're going to glue this down on here. I'm going to bring it right up to the edge of my envelope in the front. The back is going to get kind of, back here is kind of going to get covered up when I do the spine. Okay, so we have this page down. Again, this was the longer, this was the longer burger basket. If you remember in the last video, I talked to you about a longer burger basket that had baskets on every page, but they had animals. So the theme of the journal was the baskets, but each picture had an animal on it of some sort. When I went and put this journal kit together, this is not a sellable journal kit. I made pieces out of several journaling kits that I bought. Digitals that I bought from other creators. Okay, I got it all trimmed up. So this will be where my cover goes. That's my fly page. Okay, I don't have to attach anything else. This will be what I attach my cover to. And then I have a bird here, and then I have a chicken here because this page is chickens. Okay, and that'll be the page that backs onto here. All right, so let's go ahead. I told you I was going to do one more envelope, just so you can see what I meant by the top loading thing. So let's get this envelope glued shut. This one's going to be easy, because all you do is glue the envelope shut, and then to make your opening, you're going to mark it make sure at the bottom of the journal. You know what? Since I'm not going to be using this fold, we're going to cut this off. Okay, that'll be easier. Now, we line this up. I'm going to pull it back a little bit and I'm going to mark it. So again, we're just going to mark the envelope. And this time, all we have to do is cut this piece off, because this is the end we want open. So I don't have to worry about any kind of folding here, or I don't have to worry about any messing around. I just cut it off and I've got my pocket opening. And I just make sure it's the right height. And down it goes. Okay, again, if you're having any issues with the height, top and bottom anyway, for this one, I can trim it. If I'm having issues back to front, well, that's a different story. That would have to be solved in the decorating, I suppose. The other thing I could kind of do is stick it out the back. So if I have any kind of unevenness, I can make it stick out the back and the spine where everything's going to be hidden back there. Because eventually, you know, we'll do a spine cover and all the stuff back there we'll get. I'm just going to put this on here even with the top, even with the bottom and the side. And then, like I said, if it sticks out in the back a little bit, it'll just get covered up when I do the spine. Okay, it's really hard to find envelopes that are exactly the right size. If you're going to do, I would suggest, having done this now like this and having gone and found envelopes, I would suggest if you're going to do one of these as a calendar, as an envelope journal like this with the pockets, I would suggest taking that into consideration when you cut your pages. Find an envelope size that you like that's reasonable, that goes with your journal reasonably, and then cut your pages to fit your envelopes rather than the other way around. Okay, then we're just going to put this down. Make sure I've done that. Oh, please tell me I did that right. I didn't even look. General rule of thumb, if the numbers are upside down when you're gluing like this, you're probably right side up, because we all know how calendars work. You flip them up and see the, right? So there we have that. And there's my next page. Now for this one, of course, if there's problems at the top, I can always trim up there. Or decorate, or, whatever. Ink, who knows. So I would continue on like that. The next thing I would do is bring out my next journal page. And my next journal page, as you can see here, I did chickens again, and I made sure I had one with a basket of eggs in it just because there was eggs here. Of course, you don't have to be this exacting. This is how my brain works. Then my next page happens to be a cow. But the side with the cow, because I was having trouble deciding, do I want 2 cows? Sometimes it was nice to be able to do a break. So we had the flowers, so I did flowers for the flowers in the vase. So I just kind of made these journaling pages to go. And like I said, this is, again, Adele Art Studio farm journal and farm animal journals, or farm animal kit. And then the other one is Country Mouse. It's Country Mouse Prince. And this is one of her cottage core journals. So that's where I got those from. And then I'll make little signatures to go between each thing like we did here. They'll be little, a couple of journaling pieces, maybe an envelope, something like that. It won't be a lot, and all that'll get put to the back, and then I'll put a cover on it like I did for the tree book. So that is calendar number 2 with envelopes. Oh, and I pulled out some decorative envelopes to use as the up-tuck things. Okay, so sorry I know I said 3 at the beginning, but I wanted to show you this this accordion journal with the flaps, and then this journal that we did that had the envelopes in between the pages to create pockets. The other journal I wanted to show you, I feel like I haven't quite figured it out yet, so I'm not going to put it in this video. If I figure it out, then I'll do another one and I'll do it with you. It's kind of a work in progress. So once I figure out all the ins and outs of it, I'll bring it to you. But these 2 ideas were to get to get pages into, or something interactive into the accordion journal without adding a ton of bulk. And for this one, I thought between the pages, it would be fun to stick envelopes, use up some of your envelope stash, and create pockets between your pages. So I hope you liked these 2 ideas. I will bring you some more calendar ideas as I get them worked out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.